5 days out, and we're taking 5 minutes to hear from the leaders, starting with the Liberals' Justin Trudeau. Here's National Affairs correspondent Omar Sachedina.
Mr. Trudeau, it's good to see you.
Good to see you, Omar.
You have now had 32 days and 3 debates to convince Canadians why it's necessary for them to spend $600 million on an election during a pandemic, during an unfolding humanitarian crisis in Afghanistan. The fact that you still have to defend your decision to call this election, what does that tell you?
Well, I think Canadians are seeing that there are very different ideas about how to end this pandemic, how to move forward on climate change, on childcare, on housing. And Canadians deserve a choice because those decisions are going to be taken by the government now, in the coming weeks, not a year from now, not 2 years from now. And that's the choice Canadians get to make.
But your budget had passed. You had struck deals with 8 provinces and territories on a signature initiative that this country has been waiting on for decades, which is childcare. There are many Canadians out there who would say that by calling this election, you have put that in jeopardy. You've put those deals in jeopardy.
The only thing putting childcare in jeopardy is Erin O'Toole's desire to turn it back, to rip up deals that give Canadians $10 a day.
But you decided when to call this election, Mr. Trudeau.
I know Canadians want childcare not just for their families, but for jobs, for economic growth, for businesses who've said, you're right, this pandemic has taught us affordable childcare is an economic policy. Mr. O'Toole's making the wrong choice, and Canadians have the opportunity to show that.
Canadians, of course, want a leader they can trust, a leader with integrity. And to be frank, you've broken several of your pledges. Even before the surge in pandemic spending, you abandoned your pledge to balance the books. Ending boil water advisories by March 2021 didn't happen. Electoral reform didn't happen. Affordable housing, still unaffordable in major cities across the country. And your plan to tackle hate, incidents of hate increased in this country under your watch rather than decreased. Why should Canadians give you yet another mandate? Why should they trust you?
I think Canadians have seen that over the past 6 years, not only did we create 1 million jobs, but we lifted 1 million people out of poverty. We've moved forward on ending 116 boil water advisories and have a plan to end all of them.
But your pledge was March 2021. There are still people in a
true.
G7 country that can't have access to safe water.
Yes, and we will lift them all. The pandemic slowed some things down. And
when? What's the new timeline?
In the coming months and year. We promised big things, and we've delivered big things, but yes, there is more to do. And that's why the choice of whether we go stronger on fighting against racism and intolerance when a Conservative platform didn't even mention the word racism, the choice becomes clear.